The Legend of Kung Fu Kenny, Overly Dedicated. Chapter 2. The Path of Pressure, inspired by growing apart to get closer. Play. Growing apart to get closer, after listening to this chapter.
Where are we going? Why are we slowing down?
The wind slithered through the streets of the city, carrying with it whispers of lives not his own. Kendrick walked in its current, his pace steady, his mind anything but.
Behind him, the sanctuary of sound stood in silence, its ancient wooden doors shut like the last page of a book he could no longer read. The echoes of the sage's lessons still clung to him, but they were drowned beneath the weight pressing into his chest.
He had taken the first step onto the way.
So why did it feel like he was leaving something behind? That's what she said to me. That place I used to call home is just a bed to me.
Her voice, he could still hear it.
Soft, hurt, holding back something deeper than words could express. He could picture her now, sitting alone in the dim glow of a bedside lamp, her hands resting on a blanket that hadn't felt his warmth in weeks.
He imagined the way she might sigh when she turned to the empty space beside her.
Did she curse his name when the silence swallowed her whole? Or worse, had she already started to forget the sound of his voice?
And we don't even sleep. Neighbors can hear her weep.
Kendrick exhaled sharply, shaking the thought from his mind.
This was the cost.
The weight of choosing the way was sacrifice. To move forward, one must detach.
So he pressed on.
But he did not walk lightly.
He carried her sorrow in his bones.
The city sprawled before him, stretching its metallic veins into the night. Lights flickered in the distance, neon ghosts breathing life into the darkness. As Kendrick moved through the streets, he noticed them watching, figures lingering in alleys, eyes peeking from behind cracked windows, drifters sitting on the sidewalk, their heads bowed as if in prayer. This city had its own rhythm, one that played in hushed tones and muted footsteps. It did not welcome strangers, only swallowed them whole.
Then, ahead of him, the road split.
3 paths, 3 futures.
The path of comfort, a road that wound back to familiar places, past loves, and the warmth of things he once knew. Here, the past still waited with open arms. The path of illusion, a dazzling boulevard where laughter and pleasure masked the emptiness within. Here, men who once spoke of purpose lost themselves in distractions, mistaking them for meaning. The path of resistance, a steep, unmarked ascent, the hardest road, the only road worth walking.
Kendrick's gaze lingered on comfort. What if he turned back, knocked on her door? What if she forgave him? What if he never left? I tried to make it right, but the pen ran out of ink. No. The way had no shortcuts. His legs burned as he stepped onto the path of resistance. The past whispered his name as he walked away. But he did not answer. The world around him twisted. The streets narrowed, the air thickened, and shadows stretched long like fingers reaching for him. Then a golden glow flickered ahead.
The House of Illusions.
It rose high into the night, a temple of excess pulsing with light and sound. Its doors were open wide, like a beast waiting to be fed. From within, laughter rang like a siren song. Music spilled out into the streets, the bass line syncing with his heartbeat. And beyond the doors, he saw them, men who had once walked away. Now they lounged in velvet chairs, their voices slurred with indulgence. Their eyes, once sharp, were glazed over, lost in the haze of pleasure. Gone and forgotten, I'm off track like Dale Earnhardt. A figure detached itself from the crowd, stepping toward him with a grin. Kenny. Tone, one of the best to ever do it. Once they had sparred in rhyme, iron sharpening iron. Now, Tone moved with the ease of a man who had forgotten what it meant to fight. You still searching, huh? Tone chuckled, draping an arm over Kendrick's shoulder. Man, you need to chill. Come on, come inside. You look like you need it. A cup was pressed into Kendrick's hand. A woman whispered his name, her fingers ghosting along his wrist. What harm is there in resting? His grip tightened. I'm calling out for help. My engineer called. Told me come to the studio. I want to tell him. Nah. His reflection rippled in the drink. Dark. Endless. He could lose himself here. Right now. Forget the weight of the scroll. Forget the way. It would be easy. Too easy. The House of Illusions was built to keep warriors comfortable, and comfort was the enemy of growth. Kendrick took a slow breath and let the cup slip from his fingers. It shattered against the ground. The laughter around him stilled. The illusion cracked. Eyes turned toward him. Tone's smirk faded. Kendrick turned and walked away. The city stretched ahead, dark and uncertain. For the first time since leaving the sanctuary, Kendrick felt alone. He stopped in the middle of the empty street, tilting his head toward the sky. That's what he said to me, but that place we call heaven unfair to me. Only 144 can go. 7 billion people on planet Earth today. Is there something that I don't know? His fists clenched. I know to follow him rather than following people. Or follow vanity, 'cause that means I'm following evil. He exhaled. God, are you listening? The city noise faded. The world hushed. No answer, just silence. But in that silence, his heartbeat steadied. I don't know if I'm on the right path. I don't know if I'm really strong enough for this. A pause. Guess I'm following evil. I should follow cathedral. Blessings I need, but live like I don't need you. He had walked away from everything, but was he walking towards something greater? God, am I growing or am I just lost? No answer, but his breath slowed. He wasn't falling, he was still walking, and maybe that was the answer. The House of Illusions lay behind him. The road ahead was steep, but it was his. We all seemed to stumble, planning our own demise, forgetting the big picture and making it wallet size. He was not the same man who had left the sanctuary. He was growing, and he was still walking. I promised to stay faithful, focused, and sanctified. Listen to Growing Apart to get closer after this chapter.